So just going back now to go over how to do the other exercises. So once you get the Pantone one done, you can go to the RGB colour wheel. And now before you start it, it's really important that you go to your file menu and make sure that the whole document is in RGB colour mode, not in CMYK. If you're in CMYK colour, you're going to see some very dull versions of these colours. In RGB, they should be really bright. So you can really just follow what they've got there in the colour wheel. And notice that there's no yellow here. It's red. And again, it's red, blue, green. And that's quite different, isn't it? And that's because that's how you get the colours in RGB. You don't get them through mixtures of ink. You get them through mixtures of coloured light. So similar thing, just open up your document, but make sure you're choosing RGB colours. So to do that, you can just use your normal colour swatch. And you see most of the colours that you'll need are on there already. And you can drop down there and you can see CMYK values of those. That's not what we want. So I'll just close this. So make sure you've got window colour open. Oh, okay, it's just not up on screen, so I've got to drag it up. There we go, that's what I was after. So it's better for this one to choose from here because if you choose from this menu, you can switch your colour to RGB. So I might just open up the blank so you can see what I'm talking about. So this time it's RGB blank. And at the moment it's in CMYK, those sliders, so we don't want that. We want to switch the sliders to RGB, and then we can select from here in the RGB spectrum for those colours. So again, if you click on the colour wheel and you see you're getting everything like this, you need to go up to the object menu and ungroup. And then do a similar thing to last time. Get your first colours as your red. So we'd be looking at a primary red here. So RGB. And I would even go to the WebSafe RGB because that limits it. And I would just use the, this should be RGB here. You can just use that red. But make sure you're in RGB when you're getting these colours. So start with you're looking for a really bright red. So I didn't get it there. So you want to go brighter than that. So you can pick from here. You can create new swatches. And then if you do that, just make sure it's in RGB. It must be in RGB mode. And if you say add OK, it'll just be added in there. So at any point you can get your swatches added in from that colour menu. So to switch back, just go RGB, and then you can start selecting. Look at the example to select them, but always start with what are essentially the primary colours. So what are the basic colours that everything else is mixed from? So have another look at the RGB colour wheel. So you can see that the red, the blue and the green are the primaries. And then you're just doing a similar thing to the previous exercise where you find the halfway point, which you think is a mixture between the really bright green and the red, and it is going to be a kind of a murky green in between. And then you basically add red to it to get this, and then you add the green to it to get this colour, an in-between step. And then the same again. You just go, okay, my primary is the blue, if I mix it with the green, I'll get this halfway colour, and which is true, you know, another form of green. And then I've got to add blue to it to get the in-between step, and green to it to get that in-between step. Ugh, just can't move my tools. Oh, okay, just move that. Doesn't want to move. Okay, just move that. Okay, and then the red is the same thing. So we've got the red up here. We've got the bright blue here. The halfway step is going to be this violet. And then in between step back to red is this. And then the in-between step from that violet back to the blue is this much deeper violet here. So you're just recreating what you see, but you're having a go at picking it, and you're getting, the whole point of this is to get you a little bit more familiar with these options, so that you're able to kind of understand that here I'm picking from RGB colours. Sorry, I'll go back to my blank. So here I'm picking from RGB colours. So if I want to do the green, probably that. Not getting them very bright, am I? Just check that I'm in colour mode. You know, see why it's gone back. See, somehow I've flipped it out of RGB. And that's, if you notice your colours are dull, just go back and double check, because you might have accidentally, like I've done, ended up, see what I mean? Huge difference, right? So you should be getting really bright colours there. If not, just double check that colour mode. I thought I'd changed it, but I didn't quite get it there. So much brighter colours over here. We could even go for that. So we want a really bright red there. Still not very bright, is it? Okay, that might be the best I can do. And then the same with the blue over here. So it's the ones that are like equilateral triangles, they represent the primaries, and that's what you're going for. And then you're looking for halfway steps here. So halfway mixture between these two colours, which are made of light, would be much more in your purple spectrum. And then a reddy version of that is going to be sitting somewhere in here. So it's got more red added to it. So you're moving back this way, but still purpley. And then this way, you're moving back towards the blue. So you're looking for a colour that's got a little bit of that bluish tinge for it. So you're going to be moving back over here. And the same thing in between these two. You've got to get a mixture of them. It is actually, the mixture is kind of half and half. It is a kind of a dullish green. So you're probably down here somewhere. So that's about half and half. And then the step in between is going to be a lighter version of that. So it might be there. The step in between here has got to be a bit bluish. So we might move back over here, and so on. So just do it to your best ability. So that's the RGB one. And then I'll move on to the Pantone one. So the Pantone one is again choosing from the colour book. So once you've done this one, you then can move to the Pantone colour wheel. And the Pantone colour wheel is back to looking at the primaries, which I would turn this around actually. That is a little bit confusing. We always start with the yellow at the top. So I don't know why these ones aren't right. But you will get confused looking at them if you... I'll just switch it around. It should look like that. So I might go back and change those ones on the Moodle for you. So yeah, usually we start with yellow at the top, the red and the blue, and then we work our way around. So it makes sense to us, the steps in between. So with the Pantone, instead of working with what we've been doing here, we've again got to go to those Pantone swatches, which are sitting right down the bottom. So go down there, swatch libraries, go into the colour books, and this time you're going to work from the solid coated. So the solid coated ones, we know they're definitely Pantones. You can find them in Colour Bridge as well. So like I said, when we go into TAFE, we'll work a lot with Colour Bridge because it shows you the Pantone solid colour, and next to it, it shows you the CMYK. So often when you're working on projects in TAFE, you'll want to work from Colour Bridge, but you'll need to have that book in front of you to choose from for it to make sense. So without the book in front of you, it's better for these Pantones for you to work from the swatch libraries, colour book, Pantone solids. So Bridge is the one that shows you both these solids and next to it the CMYK, and that one is the one that's great to buy because you can see both types of colour, and that will really help you make a decision as to whether a colour needs to be a solid Pantone or whether the CMYK version of it, which we know is a lot duller, whether that's okay. And you can even sit with the client and show them the colour book. So for this exercise, to make it really clear that it's a Pantone, a solid one, so these are colours you could not print. All of these colours we're going to look at, they're all colours you could not print. They can't be made from mixtures of those process colours. So cyan, magenta, yellow and black mixed together can't give you these colours. Now on screen you might not see much difference, but the point is when you go to print, you'll get the correct bright colour. So with these, it's not so much how it appears on screen that matters, it's whether you've chosen the right one from the physical swatch book and you've shown the client that and you've got the right colour formula. So when you get to that, go to the Pantone solid. So coated we know just means bright shiny paper, and the colours will pop even more. So again, you get a huge range to work with, and they might look duller here on screen, but that's not how they're going to print. Remember, figuring out how these are going to print depends on you looking at the actual physical swatch book. So do exactly the same thing again. Use this as a reference guide, the one that we've given you that's finished. Open your blank one, and it should be the Pantone colour wheel, this one. So it'll just be a blank, and you'll have the Pantone colour swatches up on screen. Just get rid of that. So turn off, get rid of the other swatch book so you don't get confused. I'll get rid of all the CMYK ones. But similarly, as I start to select colours, you will see them get added in down here. And you can tell that they're a Pantone because they have that, see there's a little white slash at the bottom? So that tells you, sorry, a slash with a dot, that tells you that it's a Pantone colour from the colour book. So I can pick this yellow, for example, or this yellow, and know that it would actually probably be a lot brighter than that. So keep, in terms of your document colour mode, keep it in RGB colour mode again, because remember we want, which is especially for a showing client, we want it to look brighter, and we don't want it converting those, remember they're Pantones, they're a mixture of ink, and we don't want the Adobe Illustrator to start trying to convert those into cyan, magenta, yellow and black. So again, it's super important that you go to the File menu and you go and look, what is my document colour mode? I'm working with Pantones. They should look bright on the screen. I don't want them being broken down into, process colours. I don't want that. I want to show the really bright version of them. Stick with RGB colour for the moment. any conversion of the file could happen right at the end of the whole project. But stick in RGB color mode so that you can at least see the brighter colors on screen. So do the same kind of thing. Identify your primaries. You know, check with your Pantone color wheel for reference. So you can see it's quite a bright red, but quite a deeper blue. So do your best to kind of match it and see how you go. It's a very similar kind of exercise, and as you're going, you're really learning about making selections. So the really bright red is possibly that one, or could be that one at the top there, which are pretty close. That's pretty good. And then the blue, you could go for a brighter blue than they've got. They've got quite a deep blue. You could go something that's more like it. And then again, step between these colours. What do you think is a mixture between the yellow and the red? And maybe the red I've chosen is a bit too orange, so maybe I should go down there a bit. I could try some of these. Maybe I'll stick with that one. So what do you think is a halfway, would represent a mixture of the red and the yellow? And it's going to be one of these truly orange colours, maybe that one. And then the step in between is going to be a yellower version of that, which would be somewhere up here probably. Oh, that's not yellow enough. So just kind of experiment to get one that really is a bit more yellowy orange. Maybe that. Yeah, so a little bit of your own judgment. Should be a sort of a pumpkin-y colour because it's got a bit of red in it. And then between the true orange and the red, we should get some kind of a reddy orange. Then it may be that red I chose wasn't quite right. It should be a slightly darker red, so maybe something more like that. So that's starting to work. And maybe those two oranges are too similar, so I could go, you know, a slightly redder orange. So it is a bit of experimentation to get what you think represents a redder sort of but you want looking for something that looks like an in-between step. I still haven't got it quite right. Anyway, you can play around with that till you get a better one than I've got. I still haven't got enough red in it, have I? So red. Yeah, so a bit of fiddling to do. No, too dark. So fiddle around with it till you get something, and look at the other one for the finished one for a guide, which is probably what I should have done. And it may be that I've got my orange too yellowy already. So something more like that might work. And then keep going around, and again, you know that the halfway point between the red and the blue should be some kind of a violet. That's probably too magenta-y. And so just work your way through the whole thing till you've got something that looks a bit similar to the sample. So the violet's probably a bit darker than what I've got. So I probably need to go back and fiddle with that. Yeah, so it should be a lot darker. So a true mixture between that darker red and the blue would be darker. So I've probably got to go down here a bit and look at something that I think is halfway. So it might be more like that. Or that's a brighter version maybe. So something like that, and then go and get a reddier mixture between the red and the blue, and so on. So I think that's probably enough. I think the rest of it, you know, you do a bit by eye. Give it your best shot, and just make sure while you're doing it that it stays in RGB mode. The only one you should be switching to CMYK colour is the CMYK colour wheel. The rest do in RGB. And, you know, this exercise has got you looking at these colour modes so you know whenever you look at a design, this is a decision you've got to make from the beginning. And normally we recommend that you work in RGB because remember it's got more colours, much more colours to work with, and files can be converted to CMYK colour right at the end of the whole process as it's about to print. But what if it's never going to be printed? So why would you be working in CMYK? So whenever you start to work in Adobe Illustrator, make sure you go in and set the document color mode to RGB. And if you get partway into a project and you realize that you're picking colors and then they look super dull on screen, it's probably because you accidentally just opened the file and started working in CMYK. So every time you open a document in Adobe Illustrator, just check what color mode you're working in and pick RGB, remembering that the conversion to print colors, that's CMYK, should really only take place right at the end of the whole project when it's ready to go to the printer. Okay, that's probably enough talking from me. I'll stop recording and this will be on the